right, welcome to Those Guys Podcast, not your average sports podcast, where Troy and I, our favorite position on the field is armchair quarterback. All right, Troy, how's it going?
Man, it's going good. As usual, we had another fun weekend of football, Chris. First of all, guys, I would like to apologize because last week we had an awesome episode planned out for you guys. However, I just got a brand new computer, popped out of the box, started recording with it, and then I don't know, we had some weird issues with the episode. So we lost it as of right now. We apologize, but maybe if we could fix it in the future, we'll still air it. But it was a good one, so it's tough to. It was one.
Yeah, it was definitely entertaining, but hey, hopefully we could recover it, Troy, and if not, we'll try to touch on some of the same topics this show that we did last show.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Troy. So, of course, our first topic is how about those Aggies, huh? What a great win in the Battle of I-10, Troy. Down 21 points. It wasn't looking good in the first half. And then those Aggies came back with a big win. What were your takeaways from that, Troy?
Man, I was very frustrated at first watching it.
Yeah.
So I think it was like the first 10 minutes they were already down 21-0. I thought it was going to be ugly. Wasn't expecting. And Chris, you could kind of relate to me on this. We've seen a lot of those NMSU teams that if you get down 21 points early, it looks it's done, man. It's a wrap. However, second quarter came around, Aggies came marching back, and man, they ended up tying it up at halftime. So I knew when they tied it up at halftime, it was going to be a good game after that. And obviously, the last couple minutes is kind of when it started getting popping. NMSU kicked that field goal. They jumped the lead 27-24, and then you had UTEP just march down the field and score. I believe there was like a minute and 10 seconds left or something like that. And Chris, I did not think NMSU had it in them to just march down the field and get a touchdown. So
that walk-off touchdown was nice, huh?
wow, Chris, I was blown away, man. That fourth quarter, I was definitely standing up the entire time. I was not watching that from the couch. As far as Conference USA football goes, as far as rivalries go, that was a fantastic game to watch. And if you didn't catch it, you missed out.
Definitely, Troy. How about DeMonte, Troy? Is that how you pronounce his last name, DeMonte?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I
Go
was
ahead, Troy.
surprised. Yeah, I was surprised with him. So at first, horrendous start, right? So, I mean, you're dropping a couple snaps, you're putting him on the floor, put him on the turf. And then, he throws that interception, which it wasn't 100% his fault. It was kind of tipped off the wide receiver's hands, but it couldn't got off to a worse start. But Chris, I don't think his pocket presence was like super great. I think he has some room to grow there just because he did look like completely oblivious to, pressure at times. But I will say, man, I was impressed. He threw the ball pretty well and he did move around decently. So I think they have something to work with. And from my understanding, he's a redshirt sophomore. They have something to work with there if they can get him to stay. So I was impressed. I mean, to come in as, during rivalry week and get your first start, I mean, he did a pretty good job. Obviously got off to that slow start, but man, he did awesome.
No, he did, Troy. Impressive how he finished the game. 3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, after how he started dropping the ball on the turf and just making some of those simple mistakes, and you could tell he was rattled. Especially when Fife's been our quarterback most of the year. For him to step in a rivalry game like that, pressure situation, and deliver, Troy, very impressive. Somebody else I was really impressed with, Troy, was our safety, McKelvey.
Yeah.
He had a good game, Troy. That interception in the third quarter, plus just his overall tackles, Troy, he was all over the field. So he played a really strong game for us.
Man, okay, so seeing the offense, that's an offense we haven't seen this entire season, right? Able to just catch up from being 21 points down to close out a game. We haven't seen that. So I was impressed with that side of the team, but also defensively, man, I've been impressed all year. Besides the Louisiana Tech game, I think NMSU has a solid defense, and I've been impressed with them this entire time. The offense hasn't helped them out much because they never really sustained long drives or kept them off the field because, man, if you keep your defense on the field, they're always out there. usually you're giving up 42 to, 50 points a game. And NMSU's defense has definitely kept them competitive. They have looked good all year, in my opinion.
I agree, Troy. And aren't they? I think for the last, 11 games, Troy, they've had a takeaway of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, I will say this too. I think it was against Missouri State or Kennesaw State. Even whenever they would get down to the red zone, their red zone defense was top notch. So they weren't giving up many points in the red zone either. So man, kudos to those guys. I know there was a couple of big drives that they had against. They made a couple big plays against Tulsa, which ultimately won them the game. So, man, hopefully that defense stays intact next year, Chris. If, we work a little bit on the offensive line, continue to get good running backs and have that strong defense, I think NMSU, man, they could be a pretty solid team next year.
I agree. And shout out to Joe Morris, the defensive coordinator. That's always kind of been his calling card, right, Troy? Discipline, but also getting takeaways. He's proved that when he was at Sam Houston State, as well as some other programs, Troy. So if we can keep him and then, of course, add some more pieces to our defense, Troy, it could be a very competitive defense going into next season. And for me, Troy, I feel like that's going to be a nice point when it comes to recruiting. Hey, whether it's the transfer portal or a prospect coming out of high school, Troy, hey, if I'm maybe like a 3-star or even a 2-star prospect, I'm gonna give a look at New Mexico State because, I'm gonna go over there and say, hey, they have a really good scheme on defense. I could develop here. And some of the things that Joe Morris has the defense doing, I feel like what the players are learning, that could catch the eye of an NFL scout.
Yeah.
Just how he really predicates his defense on being disciplined. And Troy, as you know this, that's a trait that translates to the next level.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. He believes in hard-nosed football. So his
Yeah.
defense is always going to play hard. They're going to play with a fast motor. For those of you guys who didn't follow up with, Sam Houston State, last year when Keller was there, they had a fantastic defense. So it was definitely hard to put up points against the Bearcats last year, and they ended up winning 10 games. So I know that their record is like terrible this year, but last season they won 10 games, they went to a bowl game and they won that. So they're not a sleeper team. We are very fortunate to have him at NMSU. And if he continues to, build on what he has down there right now, the opportunities are endless for the Aggies.
And how I look at it, Troy, and we've said this, the foundation is there. I think for our fan base, this is the time to be patient. I know in the past, NMSU losing seasons, all that good stuff, and it's been frustrating. But for me, Troy, I'm not frustrated.
No,
I'm feeling really good, Troy. I'm excited about next season because I feel like the foundation's there. I like Tony Sanchez. I think he's a strong coach, good players coach. He's one of those guys, Troy. He's not going to make excuses. He works hard and he's about getting it done. You have guys like Joe Morris running the defense. Again, hard-nosed, disciplined style of defense. I'm telling you this, Troy. Even though they may end the season 4-8?
they
Who's their
could.
next
I think
Troy?
they got Middle Tennessee the last game of the season. I think they could
Mhm.
win that game. I think they can end it 5-7 with a rivalry
Okay.
win against UTEP. I think you salvage your season there at the very least, in my
And if they
opinion.
go and if they go 5-7, Troy, with, of course, the new facilities and you keep the coaching staff intact, hey, and then DeMonte, if he's able to develop over the spring, over the offseason, and then you add a couple pieces in the transfer portal, Troy, who knows? Who knows what could happen, Troy? I don't think there are many players away.
Yeah.
You get a couple guys on the offensive line, Troy. Maybe you're able to get a couple guys on the defensive line, kind of beef up the trenches. We could definitely be a bowl team next year.
Man, no doubt. And I think the running game, I really think the offensive line played pretty well against UTEP. And I do think that the run game was very effective. You saw, they broke off a couple long runs there early on to get
Sure.
back in the game. And man, kind of like you said, you add a couple more pieces of the offensive line, defensive line to solidify that. I think they're going to be in good shape next year. And I'm not frustrated either. I know, man, going on X, you see a lot of people kind of just talking down on Sanchez and this and that. But man, here's what I have to say. Who do you want to come and take over that program right now? Like, who would you honestly feel comfortable to take over NMSU? Like, no one's gonna come and get
Lane
7
Kiffin,
wins.
Brian Kelly.
Yeah, well, man, like, people don't realize this either when they're like, "Oh, well, Jerry Kill did it." Jerry Kill had a hell of a staff, Chris. Look who he had on there. Yeah,
Very
so
impressive staff.
Tim Beck, Tony Sanchez. I mean, there was 5 coaches on that staff that were head coaches. One at the JUCO level, Tony Sanchez at UNLV, Tim Beck at Pitt State, won the D2 national championship. Then you had, Coach Kill. So then you had a lot of younger guys that they were all together. They were all together at TCU the season before, and people don't realize that. Like, they came together as like a package. You know what I mean? They all worked together. They didn't have to put missing pieces in different, mix and match people. They
And
had like a good foundation coming into NMSU. They were all able to work together. They all knew what they were getting themselves into. It's hard. Dude, that was luck. That was all Mario Mocha,
yeah.
but people don't want to admit that. Man, I mean, that's very rare that stuff like that happens.
Yeah, exactly, and to get a coach of Kill's caliber, and like
Yeah,
you said, everything came together, and then too, of course, Troy, we had Diego Pavia, who's a special player,
exactly. Yeah,
and
Eli Stowers.
we'll talk about him later, but more in depth later, but
Yeah.
he was definitely a special player for us. No, Troy, yeah, I'm excited for what Tony Sanchez does, Joe Morris, it's going to be an exciting season next year.
And Chris,
Um,
we talk about this all the time. Like, we've seen these teams that have folded, right? That have folded I mean, they're down 21-0 and then they just get blown out from there on out. It has
yeah,
been like that. That has been an NMSU culture for so long. And
yes,
we're breaking that culture. Like, we're breaking that cycle. And I think that's why I feel better, even knowing we only have, 4 wins right now. I feel better seeing better quality out on the field. Like, you could actually go to a game and enjoy it, and you could leave disappointed at times, but at least you actually care because you picture them winning that game or they were in a situation to win, right? So disappointment could be a good thing, just kind of how you view it. But man, I'm optimistic about what happens next year, and man, I'll stand by this all year. I think Sanchez is the guy for the job, and he's running a good program, and he has a really good group of kids out there. And I'm not talking just athletically; I'm talking, personality wise too. So very respectful, very fan oriented. So they are about the community. That's why it's important to go and support these guys.
it is. And Troy, in the words of Nick Saban, one of his favorite phrases, being process oriented, right? Being process oriented. That also plays a role in what NMSU is doing, Troy. Is as fans, it's easy just to focus on the wins and losses, of course. I mean, yes, you want your team to win, you want them to win double-digit games, you want them to go to the big bowl or make the playoffs. But for a program like New Mexico State, we have to be realistic. And again, after Kill left and Beck left, and there was, the coaching turnover and all that, for Tony Sanchez to have his boys playing competitive, Troy, that's what I care about. The wins are going to come. That's why we have to be process oriented. He's laying the groundwork. The wins are going to come in the future. But right now, Troy, the two things that I wanted to see this season were, do they compete and do they play inspirational football? Are they inspired when they go out there?
Yeah.
And they tick those 2 boxes for me. New Mexico State, our boys, they compete and they play inspired. And if they could do those 2 things, Troy, I'm happy. And
Chris, I will say this. My favorite Aggie so far, watching them play this far or this year, has been Donovan Fapel. That dude, I mean, if he's around the ball, man, he's gonna make a play.
oh yeah.
So he is a playmaker, and man, he's had a couple walk-off touchdowns. And dude, it's awesome watching that guy play. He's a junior. He has one more year left. I think it's big holding on to him. So I'm hoping he sticks around. Hopefully he doesn't decide to hit the transfer portal after this year. But dude, by far one of my favorite players to watch.
Troy,
Such a great wide receiver. What's up?
you know what you're gonna have to do to make sure that that happens, right?
You got to open up that wallet, Chris.
You're gonna have to open up that checkbook, Troy, and write a fat check. Make
Oh
sure
man,
he
I don't know.
stays at New Mexico State.
I mean, I could write him a check. Can't promise that it's going to be able to be cashed, but
You know what,
like
Troy? It's all good. What
it
we'll
might
do is
bounce. But
we'll take out a second mortgage on your home, and then we'll use that money to give to that Donovan kid, so
I think we should just go to your bank and then just take out whatever loans that we can, like,
sure.
and then make it happen. But let's just use your name. Let's use your information.
No, Trey, you might have a little bit more than me, so we
No,
might
I
we might
don't.
have a better shot.
I got kids, Chris. I got daycare to pay for.
That is true. Alright, Troy, well, um, moving forward, Troy, something that I wanted to focus on is what do you think about the big coaching hire at Eastern New Mexico? Art Briles, Troy, what do you think of that?
I think that's a legit hire for Eastern New Mexico, man.
No,
Obviously, Eastern's a small school. To get a big name coach like Art Briles to come down there and take over that program and have him run it. I mean, obviously people are gonna remember that big old scandal at Baylor, but man, like I feel like he can't be the only one, like he can't be held. Basically, people just want to blame him for that whole thing. I just don't think he should be the only one being blamed for that. That does fall back on the players that were like participating in those
sure.
acts. Those guys need to be punished. But man, I've been in many locker rooms in the past, and it's rare that coaches know entirely what's going on, right? So it's kind of a different world. I don't want to get into that too much, but man, he's 70 years old. So that is interesting. But
His
man, he
retirement job?
Dude, yeah. I mean, he still wants to coach. They like kinda like they say, man, it's always in those guys' blood, right? But
That's
I
ex
think that's a pretty good hire. I know he had some good teams in Houston. Whenever Houston, whenever they were done with the Dana Dimel era, they were still struggling. He took them over, he turned them around, made them a pretty good little contender there, and then left for the Baylor head coaching job, which Baylor, man, before that, Baylor was not good. They weren't really known for a whole bunch, but he took them to the Fiesta Bowl where they lost to UCF, but they had some pretty good Baylor teams. I think we talked a little bit about him before the show, and I mean, he had Baylor always, in the top 25, going into the season, and they were always one of those talked about teams that might have a chance at making a championship run. But his style, he runs that veer and shoot offense. I think that would be a fun offense to watch in Portales. I'm not going to lie, though. I am interested in seeing who he brings in to Portales this next year. So I want to see the coaches that he's going to bring. And man, good luck to Eastern next year. They had a rough season this year, but I would definitely like to see them get competitive again.
Troy, and for Eastern New Mexico, if you're an athletic quarterback, you're salivating right now.
Yeah.
Because if you're a dual threat, the things that he can do, the positions that he'll put you in that offense, that veer and shoot offense, Troy, you could have a lot of fun running the ball, launching it deep. Look at what he did with RG3, Troy. I mean, gosh, man, RG3 won the Heisman. He
Yeah.
was launching the ball, running the ball. And even after RG3, some of the other quarterbacks he's had, Troy, I mean, they put up big numbers, I remember at Baylor. Heck, even at Houston, they were putting up some numbers, so
Yeah, man.
so
I think that was a good hire for them. I think that's a good spot for him to go back. Obviously, taking over like a huge D1 program is probably not going to happen for him right now, especially with everything that happened at Baylor. But I think that's a good spot for him to go, and he's only like 4 hours from his hometown. So, man, I'm excited to see what they do this next year. It's going to be interesting, at least. The Lone Star is a fun place to play Division II football. So if you're not familiar with the Lone Star Conference, get familiar with it because there's a lot of good teams. You have a couple that are in the playoffs right now. West Texas A&M is going to a bowl here in December. So, man, it's a good place to watch football. So a lot of competitive teams.
so did you know this, Troy, that actually Art Briles, he's been coaching in, I think, Italy
I
or in
saw
some
something about that because I saw the news break last night. So my kid kept me up all night, and I saw the news like break out at like midnight or like
yeah,
at
yeah,
1 my
you sent
time.
me you sent me a text right away.
Man, yeah, I was looking at some of that stuff, and yeah, he was in Europe. I don't know if it was Italy or not, but yeah, he was out
It's
there doing
Italy.
some yeah, European ball there.
So, Troy, was this a motivating factor for us to get out to Portales and watch a game?
Man, that or watch him play over there in like Amarillo or in Canyon, Texas. That'd be a good game to watch too. So, but yeah, we definitely need to go check out a game down there at Eastern.
Down, Troy. All
Same.
right. Yeah, Troy. So staying with kind of D2 and all that, what do you think of the first round of the D2?
Man, I thought it was pretty good. So I paid attention. One of the games that I was watching was Pitt State and Shattern State. So I knew that was
So
going to be a pretty good defensive battle. The Chadron State Eagles, man, they haven't made the playoffs in the last few years. You know, Coach Jay Long has them rolling now. And man, it was a good game. At one point, I thought Chadron State I think they were going to kick a field goal, but they had a chance to pretty much just put it away. And I can't remember the big event that actually happened, but Pitt State was able to seize the momentum there, man, and get a touchdown and win the game. It was a fun one to watch. I was also shocked with UT Permian Basin versus CSU
mhm.
Pueblo.
Pueblo, huh?
Yeah, CSU Pueblo, I think, was favored going into that game, and I was expecting CSU Pueblo to at least make, the semis. But yeah, I mean, UT Permian Basin came out there, man, and got after it.
A little BTA, Troy? Well,
Yeah,
no, it wasn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was BTA. It was 37-24, but
yeah,
still convincing win for Permian Basin. Hey,
man,
Troy.
they have a young coach, Chris. That guy's like our age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
calling plays.
So, yeah, I mean, that's impressive, and that program's still relatively new. I think their first season was, like, back in 2017, so they're still a pretty new team, but, man, once again, Lone Star Conference, they're, representing pretty well.
Hey, real quick, Troy, and you could correct me if I have this wrong, but weren't you getting some interest from Chadron State your senior year?
I was. Man, I was an RMAC guy because I was getting hit up by all those little RMAC schools, Fort Lewis, Chadron State. At the time, Nebraska Kearney was in the RMAC, but ultimately I went to Western New Mexico. But yeah, Chadron State was one of those schools that, man, if they would have got me up there like on an official visit, and I was able to check it out. I don't know. It would have been interesting for me. Back whenever I was at Western, that what's his name? I think it was Garrett Gilkey or something like that. He was an offensive lineman for Chadron State. He got drafted. I can't remember which team he actually played for, but he was in the NFL for a couple years.
Oh, wow.
And man, so the RMAC has a history of some good football players coming through.
Troy, real quick, who was the guy that was he a center for CSU Pueblo? And he had a decent NFL career. I don't know if
Yeah.
he's in the NFL, but what was his name, Troy? Was he the one that was drafted by the Giants?
No, he was drafted by the Baltimore.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes. He played for Tampa Bay, so he was, Tom Brady's center. I'm actually gonna have to look this up.
I
But
know.
yes, I remember him. Man, and if you woulda asked me on any other day, I would have been able to tell you. But no, there was, I actually I remember, I met his family, like, at Wendy's. So because once again, whenever you saw someone who was, like, huge with a lot of potential at those games, you're like, they stood out, right? So, but yeah, I can't remember, Chris. Can't remember his name.
Yeah, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes. Yeah. It'll probably come to me here in a minute. Let me see if I could get some let me see if I can pull it up.
See, yeah, if I could think of that name.
Ryan Jensen, that's who it was.
Ryan Jensen,
Ryan
yeah.
Jensen. Yeah, he had a pretty good career with, Tampa Bay, so he was a part of the Super Bowl team as well. So I can't remember, I think he just recently, retired, like, 2 years ago,
See,
but I remember running into his family after that Western game. So CSU Pueblo was ranked, like, 4 whenever we played him, and we ended up losing by a touchdown that game, because we fumbled. We were driving down the field, and we just fumbled the ball. They ended up, recovering and scoring another touchdown there. So, it was a heartbreaker.
definitely. That's awesome, Troy. It's always nice to kind of, hear your stories and kind of connect the dots with some of these guys that were at the D2 or the FCS level and hearing about their success and being able to make it to the NFL or just even their success that or even the things they did in college football, even if it didn't translate to the pros, but hearing
Yeah.
about all their success. It goes to show you, Troy, that people shouldn't sleep on D2 or FCS or even D3 NAI players. I mean, they're still playing at the next level.
Yeah. Man, that Gilkey kid and Jensen, man, those guys Jensen got drafted pretty high. I wanna say he got drafted, like, in the 2nd round or something like that, and once again, had an outstanding career, did his thing, but yeah, you have talent at all 3 levels, and even the NAIA level. Man, you have good football being played. So, I mean, hell, just look at Montana Tech. Those guys were tearing it up this year. So, if you're good enough, man, they'll find you.
They will for sure, Troy. So
You looking them up?
exciting. Yeah, I was a little bit. There was another player, Troy, that the name's gonna come to me, and he was another, like, D2 guy, or I think FCS guy that got drafted recently to, the Giants.
Yeah.
I think he was their center. It was a few years ago, Troy, and he came from a smaller school, and he was drafted pretty high, so it goes to
Yeah,
show you
man. You'll see some guys. We had a wide receiver at Western who was getting some looks in the at the NFL level too. He got a couple tryouts, and what they'll do at those like D2 schools, right, they'll invite you to like a regional combine, or like they'll invite you to NMSU would invite a lot of our players to like their pro day. That way we can kind of just incorporate, all the local D2 schools here and get as much athletes out there as possible. So there's a way for them to get a hold of you, and they'll get to know who you are for sure.
for sure. Troy, I wanna go back a little bit. Can you give our audience some background about the new format of the D2 playoffs and how it's a 32 team, gauntlet?
Yeah, man, I will say I do like the playoff format that the Division II level has. So you have 32 teams, and you basically have super regionals. So basically, you have Super Region 1, 2, and 3. It's cool because at the very end, are you able to pull up the bracket, Chris, by any chance?
Yes, let me look up the bracket, and
So
then
you
I'm
could
gonna try to share
actually,
it.
yeah, it'll be broken down into sections, like those regions, and you could actually root for teams that are like in the Southwest area, close to your home, or the Northeast if you follow up to a lot of Northeast Division II football. So it's actually pretty cool. Now, I will say it does it does suck because at the D2 level, even if you have a solid season, like let's say you win 8 games, 7 games, you have a really good year. It's not like the FBS level where you're gonna make a bowl game or anything like that. It's tough to make the playoffs, but with there being 32 teams, if you're good enough, you have a very good shot of making them. So Chris Love is gonna pull it up here in a sec, and we'll be able to kind of view how they structure that.
I think I have it right now. Can you see it, Troy?
Yeah, perfect. So this is just one section of them. So there should be, if you scroll down, Chris, there should be a other section as well. There you go.
Okay, I
So,
see with, like, Harding and
yep.
Pittsburgh State. That's gonna be a heck of a game, Troy. Harding versus Pittsburgh State.
Yeah. So if you're looking to, I think it's my right. If you're looking to the bottom corner of your screen there, I follow typically this side of the bracket just because living in Oklahoma, I'm obviously close to Pitt State, not far from Northwest Missouri State, Harding University, all those schools. But I'm also familiar with a lot of the schools in the RMAC and the Lone Star. So Central Washington, yes, obviously nowhere near Texas, but they're in the Lone Star Conference. That's just because their conference imploded not too long ago. But, Central Washington, UT Permian Basin, those two schools were representing the Lone Star. And then as far as the RMAC goes, you had CSU Pueblo, Western Colorado, and Chadron State. So I think from here, Chris, from here on out, I'm pulling for either Pitt State, Western Colorado, or UT Permian Basin. Those are the three schools that I'm going to pull for to win the D2 national title here.
Troy, looking at the other side of the bracket with, like, West Florida and Newberry and those teams, shout out to Benedict, huh? They
Yeah.
they beat Wingate, who was ranked by 1 point. Heartbreaker, huh?
Yeah, man, that is especially during a playoff game. Um, because, a playoff win is like a bowl win for these guys. So, like I said, it's very hard to make the playoffs at the D2 level. So if you're able to make it, you definitely want to win a couple games.
You know what team, Troy, I think might win it all, honestly? Ferris State.
Yes. Ferris State,
They're a beast, Troy. I
yeah.
mean, they're a locomotive. So
They're the defending national champions. So, man, they have a fast-paced offense.
easy.
They've been a monster. I think last year was Ferris State versus Colorado School of Mines, and man, they lit Mines up. So yeah, they're a tough team. They're located, I forgot what city in Michigan, but yeah, they're in Michigan. They're a Michigan team there.
But they're tough, huh?
Yes. But man, there's a lot of good football being played at that level. So man, if you get a chance, definitely check it out.
For sure.
Yeah, hopefully, once again, I going to like Western New Mexico and stuff, you kind of have this misconception of it's going to be a little slower. It's not going to be as fun. And I mean, that couldn't be further from the truth. It's a good time, especially if the atmosphere is great. you definitely wanna be around.
Exactly. Hey, Troy, let's go to a smaller bracket and let's talk about the FCS playoffs. Who are you kind of looking at, or who are you rooting for in the FCS playoffs?
Well, I think I'm pulling for Montana. So
You're good, yeah.
Montana or Tarleton State. I think those are the two schools that I'm going to be rooting for. So I know that Montana and Montana State, they're going to be in the same side of the bracket. So there could be a chance of them playing each other. I think you have to scroll down again, Chris, and you'll see some more teams as well. So there's a chance that Montana State could play again.
Oh yeah. Some interesting matchups. Hey, Troy, how do you feel about the Ivy League participating in the playoffs?
Man, I'm actually kinda happy about that because the last couple years, they didn't do that. I don't remember the reasoning. I mean, that was just the Ivy League being the Ivy League, but I'm actually happy to see, teams like Yale um, and Harvard make the playoffs. I mean, it's interesting to see, like, what they're gonna do. Um, so I thought that was pretty neat. Now, Chris, if can you scroll up real quick? There's a team that I
Sure.
kinda wanna highlight here.
Sure.
Um Rhode Island right there. So,
Okay.
Rhode Island has they I mean, they had such a long stint of not being good at all, and now they're making the playoffs. I forgot who their head coach is now, but man, shout out to Rhode Island for being on the stage. That's a team that I'm gonna root for. Hopefully, they could at least make it to the second round. UC Davis would be a tough opponent to get through, and then obviously they have North Dakota State on that side of the bracket, so it's gonna be tough. But man, shout out to Rhode Island for making the playoffs.
And then Troy, another team that I wanted to talk about in FCS. What do you think about NAU? I know they didn't make it, but do you think they should have made the playoffs?
Man, I don't know. It's tough to say because everyone that made the playoffs this year I think deserved it. NAU, Big Sky is usually well represented in the playoffs anyway. There's always like 4 or 5 teams that make it. And yeah, man, they have a good defense there. So the defensive coordinator is my former coach at Western New Mexico. Man, I always pull for them and I want them to do well. NAU is definitely the Big Sky team that I like to follow up with. That's not Montana or Montana State. But man, they have some ridiculous facilities for D1 AA, and I was fortunate to do a camp out there, and man, it was beautiful. So great weather. That's another place that I need to go catch a game.
Oh yeah, let's put that on the list, Troy.
Hey, before I forget, Portland State fired their head coach. Um,
You
his
putting your
name is
name in the hat?
no, not at Portland. I'm good. And the reason why I say this is because his name was Bruce Barnum. I mean, he looks like a country guy. He had a pretty good season with them his first season. They went like 9-4. They went to the second round of the playoffs and lost to Northern Iowa. But man, Portland State is a weird school because it's in downtown Portland, right? And there's no like designated campus for it. It's just like a whole bunch of buildings there that, I guess Portland State owns. And it's just kind of it's different. It's like you're just like in a downtown metro area, right? But Chris, they don't have a football stadium at all. So they play about 30 minutes out of town at this place called Hillsboro Borough Stadium. And man, I can't talk today. But they don't get a lot of fans there. They don't get a lot of fan support at all. And they used to play at PGE Park, which is in downtown Portland. It's a baseball stadium, and it's actually a pretty legit setup whenever they do host football games. But the reason why I bring this up is because there is so much stuff going on with Portland State right now. They don't have locker rooms. They don't have a
Oh,
designated like
geez.
athletic facility for the football guys. And my thing is with them firing their head coach now, who is going to take that job? I'm just curious because, especially this day and age, NIL, facilities, everything like that is important. That's all stuff that Portland State doesn't have, which, in my opinion, is why they're not finding success recently.
Is
So I'm going to be a little curious on who takes that job. And we'll obviously have a follow up within like probably the next couple weeks whenever they narrow down that search. But I'm going to be very curious about that one.
Troy, I wonder, could they strike a deal with one of the local high schools and use maybe a local high school facility till they could kind of figure out what they want to do?
Yeah, I mean, they probably could, but man, Chris, let's be real. If you're playing D1 ball, I think you want to play at your own stadium, right?
Sure, but at least for the time being, that way you don't have to travel so far and you
Yeah.
could have some type of facilities, right?
Yeah, and some type of fan base. But I think Portland State's just such a commuter school. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but they had a decent crowds. They actually played their homecoming game uh, against Montana at PGE Park this last weekend, and there was a pretty good turnout. They had a solid and rowdy crowd there. So you would think that you would want to stay in the downtown Portland area. So yeah, even at a high school, it might not be a bad idea.
You know why the crowd was so rowdy, Troy?
Why?
Because they're Vikings.
Shut up. Gosh, that was terrible.
That was good, Troy. You have to admit that.
Gosh. All right.
All
Moving
right.
on, Chris.
Yeah, so now we'll talk about FBS, the big boys, right, Troy? So Troy, with FBS, I'm not really gonna get into the college football playoff scenarios and all that.
We
I
got
feel
plenty of
like
time next week.
plenty of time next week. But I do want to look at a couple potential bowl games, such as Texas and Michigan. It looks like they'll probably meet up in potentially the Citrus Bowl.
Uh-huh.
That should be an interesting duel, right? And then we're looking at potentially Nebraska and Tennessee in the Aurelia Quest Bowl. And then I'm curious to see what happens to Vandy, Troy. I mean, do they make the college football playoff or do they go to the Birmingham Bowl or the Liberty Bowl?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm pulling for Vandy to make the playoffs. You needs to lose. Well, LSU, they haven't had an offense all year. They need to find it, man. They need to find it this week. So they need to come up with a win. And obviously, being an LSU fan, I can't really stomach like too many losses to OU, right? So, um, I was planning on going to that game, Chris, but I'm just like, I don't know. $200 is a lot of money
Sure.
to, watch LSU not be able to put up points. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Chris, a bowl game that I'm kind of curious about, right? New Mexico. So UNM, they are bowl eligible. Now, I'm kind of wondering, do they get out of the New Mexico Bowl or are they just forever tied to the New Mexico Bowl? So, because ultimately with them making a new bowl or making a bowl this year, it's almost like they have an extra home game. And I've been to the New Mexico Bowl. It's fun. It's a fun place to, watch some football. And I watched them play. I watched New Mexico State playing it a couple years ago. But when you think of a bowl game, man, you want these kids to kind of have a fun experience. You want them to travel, even if it's going to like, the First Responders Bowl or like the Texas Bowl or something like that. I think that would be a cool deal for them to do. Um, so I'm hoping to see something a little different from that, but we'll see. I think they're like permanently tied to that, unfortunately.
Here we go, Troy. I was clicking all over the place, but I finally found the bowl projections. What do you think about some of these?
Um, yeah, Georgia Tech and Arizona State. I think that would be a pretty good Sun Bowl. I would be curious to go watch that, Chris, and I might be in town on December 31st. So if that is the case, we might actually have to go check that one out.
Sun Bowl?
Yep, that's where they're projected to go right there.
Georgia Tech and Arizona State. I would definitely make plans to go, Troy.
Yeah.
If that's the bowl, let's get tickets and let's go, man.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and buy my ticket and we'll go.
I think it's the other way around, Troy.
And Baylor and Kennesaw State at the Independence Bowl. I think that'll be a pretty cool matchup. Man, Kennesaw State was one of those schools that completely blindsided me this year. Obviously, they won like 2 games last year. Was not expecting them to be where they're at this year. And I think they're already like win number 7 or 8. So good for them. Their second year being FBS. That would be a pretty fun game to watch.
Troy, do you see a scenario where Army beats Clemson?
No,
No, you
I
don't
don't.
see that? Okay.
I don't. Do you?
No. Well, it would be hilarious. I think
Yeah.
Dabo Sweeney might have to resign if he loses the Army, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Who
Man,
knows?
Chris, I can't think of the name of the coach, but there was actually a coach that got fired because of their bowl loss, which is crazy, right? Because, like, when you think of a bowl game, yes, you're taking it serious, but usually that's a game that's not gonna put your job in jeopardy.
Sure.
There was a team that got beat so bad that, yeah, they went ahead and fired their head coach, which was bizarre.
Hey, Troy,
What's
when
up?
are we gonna get some money together to go see the Idaho Potato Bowl?
You know, I wanna go to Boise State and watch a game there. I don't know if I wanna go to the Idaho Potato Bowl just because it's gonna be freaking cold up there, and I don't feel like, uh, I wanna enjoy the game,
But
basically.
Troy, what if they're giving out free mashed potatoes?
I'm sure they're gonna be baked potatoes. So,
But you're not down to eat some fresh baked potatoes, Troy?
no, I'm good.
Um, Troy, you know what might be an interesting game? Miami and BYU, Troy.
Yeah,
I I hope Miami in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I hope Miami, if this is the game, I hope Miami
that's
beats
definitely
the
a bowl
mess
game that
out.
you would like to go check out, Chris.
I haven't had a Pop-Tart in a while though. But that sounds like a fun bowl, Troy, in Orlando. And Troy, check this out.
Well, you know
I
that their
want, if this is
mascot
the
at the very
case,
end turns into an edible mascot, right? Like, at the very end, it hops in a toaster, and then, like, the winning team gets to split it.
wow. Um, Troy, I want Miami to beat the mess out of BYU. I am tired of BYU getting all this love, and who have they really played?
Yeah.
And the one team that they actually played, they got destroyed, and that
Yep.
was Texas Tech. So
Yeah, I'm
I
right there with
would
you, man.
love to see
I think
Miami.
BYU's a good school. I think they're a good team. I just don't think that they're a playoff team.
I would love for Miami to put belt to booty, Troy. Ooh, they have LSU projected to go against Iowa in the Music City. Interesting.
Man, I'm just happy that LSU is bowl eligible. Now, watching them in the Sun Bowl would be pretty fun too, but
Oh yeah, that I feel like a lot of people in our area would go see that.
oh, yeah, 100%. All right,
Yeah,
Chris, do you wanna jump into high school? So
sure. Oh, you know what, Troy? Before we get there and kind of end our show, I want to make a case for Diego Pavia winning the Heisman, Troy. I was looking at his numbers today, and 71% completion. That's his completion percentage, right? 71%. And then Troy, 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And then he has close to 700 yards rushing and 8 rushing touchdowns, Troy. You look at his passing stats, Troy, they're comparable with Fernando Mendoza, Julian Sayin, Ty Simpson, Carson Beck, all of the heavy hitters in the country at quarterback, Troy. So you add that plus his rushing stats. Out of all those quarterbacks, he has the best rushing stats. Even, and oh yeah, I forgot one, Dante Moore at Oregon. You compare Diego Pavia's stats with him, they're right there with them. And then you throw the rushing stats on there, he's better. Plus, Troy, you look at the team he's playing with, the weapons that he has. Don't get me wrong, Stowers is a dog. But you look at the weapons he has compared to Ty Simpson, compared to Dante Moore. Troy, he should be the Heisman. I'm telling you, what he's done with Vandy, how he's played in big games, even if they've lost, just the pedigree he's played with and the competitive nature he has, Troy. He's the people's champ, man. Give him the Heisman.
oh, man, I couldn't agree with you more, Chris. I think by far he's the best football player in college right now, and ultimately, that's who the Heisman should be awarded to, right? But,
That's
man,
what it
yeah,
represents.
yeah, look what he's done with Vanderbilt. So they were like 2 and 10 before he got there. Chris, he's changed the culture over there. And he's made them believe that they could win these big games, and they have won these big games. The fact that that Vanderbilt is ranked number 12 right now, that is something that a couple years ago we would have never thought would be possible, right?
Unfathomable,
Um,
Troy.
and man, the fact that they're there right now says a lot. So I think you also have to take into account everything that he's done at New Mexico State. I mean, that man led them to a 10-win season and an upset win over Auburn. Chris,
Win
he
Auburn
took them
was
to a
pretty good,
Conference
too.
USA championship. He's done it all. Like, he needs to win the Heisman. There's no doubt about it. And not to take anything away from anyone that gets awarded the Heisman this year, because for some reason I don't think that, they I don't think they're gonna award it to him, I'll be honest, but not taking anything away from that person, I just think, like you said, I mean, he's gonna be the people's Heisman, right? So, if they
Exactly.
don't award that to him or seriously consider giving it to him, I got no faith in the Heisman process anymore, in all honesty.
Me too, Troy, honestly. And to be fair, don't get me wrong. The other quarterbacks are good quarterbacks, Troy. No knock on them. But if you look at the, I'm unimpressed, really. We grew up in the era of Cam Newton, Joe Burrow. And that wasn't that long ago, Troy. What,
Yeah.
6 years ago? Um, but no, Cam Newton, Tim Tebow, Vince Young didn't win it, but Reggie Bush. Troy, we saw Heisman Trophy winners. I mean, guys that put up crazy stats against the best in the country. And this year, it's underwhelming, Troy. I mean,
Yeah.
these are solid guys, but outside of maybe Mendoza's grit, I'm just not impressed.
No.
Only guy that impresses me again is Pavia.
Yeah, same, man.
If he doesn't get it, Troy, it better be Mendoza. And if it's not him or Mendoza, if they go with like Dante Moore or Ty Simpson or even Julian Sayin, I don't know, try. I'm gonna lose faith in the Heisman process. If
Yeah,
they
man.
give it to like a Jeremiah Love, I mean, he's a great running back, Troy, and he's putting up numbers, but I don't know. I've never been a fan of who Notre Dame plays. I think they usually have a softer schedule. So if
100%.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, really?
Man, the fact that Notre Dame always gets considered for, like, the playoffs and they're always in this position around this time of year, man, you got to schedule some teams. If you're going to be independent, like you got to schedule some teams. I'm sorry. Half your schedule better be stacked with some really good, top tier teams because I haven't been a fan of, I think they're a good team once again. I like Coach Freeman there, but man, I'm just not impressed with the quality schedule that they pieced together, and then
Sure.
because it's going to screw teams out like Vandy, teams that deserve to be there. So
And oh yeah, Troy. Remind all of our remind the audience, Troy, what conference is Diego Pavia playing in?
the SEC, Chris.
And he has Vandy ranked number 12 in the SEC, the same conference that shares Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, even Texas and Oklahoma, Troy. Heck, Troy,
Yeah,
LSU. I mean, should we go further with that, Troy? I mean, even the teams
there's
that are
nothing else that needs to be said after that.
no.
So, did you
So
say A
that
and
goes
M? I couldn't remember if you said A&M either.
I said A&M, Troy, and then
Okay.
even the teams that are struggling, Troy, even your South Carolinas and your Arkansas, Troy. I mean, yes, they're having down years, but those guys are going to come out there and compete. They're still recruiting some tough kids. So the fact that he's been able to have that type of success in the SEC, to me, Troy, it's a no-brainer. But
Yeah.
what do we know?
Yeah, exactly. Chris, moving forward, obviously Las Cruces High, they made the state championship. So they had a very good win over La Cueva, man, and they're back in state. And I hope good luck to the Bulldogs. And
Yes,
I
bring
hope
home the blue
Coach
trophy.
Lopez gets this win, brings back the blue trophy to Las Cruces, man, where it belongs, right?
Hey, Troy, real quick. And unfortunately, Troy, I know our senior year, we weren't able to get to the state championship. But Troy, you started your junior and senior year, and your junior year, we won't get into it, but of course, a bad call away
But
from
we're not
playing.
going to get into it, but we're going to get into it.
But, a bad call away from, going to play Mayfield in the state championship. Troy, for those young men that are going into the state championship game, what is your thought process? Like, are you nervous? Are you like, you remember being in some tough playoff games or leading up to the playoffs or, preparing for those? What was your thought process at that time? And I
Man,
know,
I think one good thing, or not one good thing, there's many good things coming from a program like Las Cruces, but it was almost like we were expecting to win every game, right?
of course, yeah.
So even going into whenever we played Monzano and stuff like that, I wasn't too concerned that we were gonna lose. Just that wasn't my mindset. I was always expecting to win those tough games. I just knew that we had the players there. I knew that, I always felt good about the prep work that we put in as a team. I always thought we had good schemes put together. So we were always expecting to win those tough games. Now, did we lose some tough ones? Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
But that was never, we didn't have that losing mentality, right? So we fought to the very end, and both, my junior and senior season, we had like heartbreaking losses in the playoffs. But yeah, like I mean, my biggest advice to these kids going into it is don't take it for granted. So go
Sure.
out there every play and you know that this is your last game. This is it. It's state. So leave it all out in the field. Go, it doesn't matter. I mean, you should be having to get carried off that field at the very end just from being exhausted, right? Man, give it all that you have because after this, I mean, real life hits you. So whether you have a chance to play at college or, you're just going to go to school, it's, this is it. So, don't take it for granted. Go out there, give it your all, have fun with it, and enjoy every moment with it because it's going to be the last time that you're with that particular team. Even if you're an underclassman, that's going to be the last time that you take the field with those seniors, those juniors, because every year changes happen. And man, just enjoy every moment of it. Even if you're playing in Cleveland, which I'm super pissed off about because
Yeah,
Las
I hate
Cruces
the
being the number
rule.
1 seed, they should, host it down here in down there in Las Cruces.
I hate that, Troy. I hate the rule, but no, that was great, Troy. And I think Lopez, I'm sure he's gonna tell him something similar, and he's gonna have his boys ready. They're
Yeah.
built for this moment. His main guys, they've been playing together on varsity since what, their freshman year.
Yeah.
So they're ready for this.
They
And
started off as a young team and to see them all like they're all at their senior year now, it's kind of cool.
and don't get me wrong, Troy, Cleveland, I mean, they're a tough opponent. They've they've kind of been what the front runners of the state for the past few years, winning state, and
Since we
they're
went to
kind
high
of being,
school, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
just being the
That's
team to
they
beat. But Troy, you know what? That makes it even sweeter, huh? Knocking
Yeah.
off, the big dog, right? The head of the state. So I'm excited. I'm confident Cruces can win this state championship. And when they do, hey, hats off to Coach Lopez and
Yeah.
his incredible season and all the work he's put in.
Yeah. Leave no
Last
doubt, right? So, like, you wanna go up against those big opponents, and you wanna leave no doubt that you are the best team in the state. So,
Sure.
I always give my Mayfield, buddies a hard time whenever, we lost that junior season there, and we were supposed to play them in state. I'm like, "Well, man, I mean, yeah, you guys got a ring, but, like, we
Did you
kinda
play the
got
best?
screwed over there. You didn't really play the best team," you know what I mean? So I like giving them a hard time. But no, kudos to those guys for making it that far, and hopefully we have Coach Lopez on the show next.
That would be fun. Last thing, Troy, the Mayfield job. Tell our viewers kind of what's going on at Mayfield with their football program and, everything going on with that.
Yeah, so, first of all, congrats to, Gary Bradley on a successful coaching career. I forgot how many years he's had in coaching, but he's had stints in Carlsbad, he won state in Farmington with, I think, only 28 players, so,
Wow.
he's had a pretty good career. This is kind of an end of an era for Mayfield football, right? So
Sure.
I mean, he was the first head coach there at Mayfield, and obviously he left for a little bit to go coach New Mexico State, and then came back. And his younger son, Michael Bradley, took over the program and then passed it on over to Gary. So I think this is an end of an era.
Yeah.
So it's if you grew up in Cruces and you played high school football, you knew who the Bradleys were and what they did for the high school game down there. Congrats, Gary, and good luck to your future. But Chris, is there anything you wanted to add on to that?
No, I think same sentiments, Troy. I mean, if you're from Las Cruces and you're at a certain age, right? You know what the Bradleys meant to Las Cruces football and all that they poured into Mayfield. So, hey, kudos to Gary Bradley on an incredible career and kind of the end of that Bradley era, right? And
So
oh no, all I was gonna say, Troy, is now it's interesting who's gonna take the Mayfield job. I mean, hey, the bond passed, so they're getting significant funding to rebuild that school, Troy, which means new facilities. I'm curious to see who the candidates are. The person that I would love to coach that team is, Dino Facio. I mean,
yeah,
all that he's done with Gadsden and how he's rebuilt that program into a contender. Also, Troy, yeah, unfortunately, they lost a heartbreaker in the semifinals, but hey, if he decides that he wants to coach elsewhere, I think Mayfield would be the perfect job for him. I think he's built for that job.
Man, the fact that he's taken Gadsden to the semis. I mean, growing up, Chris, in high school, once again, we would have never thought Gadsden would have been making the playoffs or even be competitive. So kudos to Facio, and I think he'd be a good candidate. But Chris, you know who I think should get the job?
Who should get
I
the job?
I think you need to put in for it, Chris. All right.
Oh, no, I don't know about that,
Let's
Trip.
let's have fun with this.
All
Tell me
right.
that this isn't your all-star staff right now, Chris. You as head coach, right?
Okay.
You bring me in as assistant head coach
Here
slash
we go.
offensive line coach.
All right.
Our defensive line coach, our coaches say we bring in Taylor Tisby, Jacob Benegas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Jacob Benegas is also our strength and conditioning coordinator,
I
right?
like where this is going, Troy.
Offensive
Yeah.
coordinator, who do you think that is, Chris?
Offensive coordinator. Ooh, Burma? I don't know.
Jeremy Burma,
Okay.
offensive coordinator. Our defensive coordinator, now this guy's going to wear a couple different hats because I know he can carry the load. So our defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, and tight ends coach, Jeff Segovia.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Our quarterbacks coach, Devin Pettis.
There we go.
And then our DB coach, I got Daniel Martinez.
All right. There we go.
And our wide receivers coach, I got Joshua Watson.
Right.
I
Who
think you
else?
I think you can guess who our running back coach is going to be.
It would be none other than the Xavier Hall, right?
Of course. Who else, right?
The dream team on Troy.
So, also, I want to throw this one in there because number one, he's probably our number one fan on here, right? So, I got to give the special teams coordinator spot to Nathaniel Renteria.
There you go. While we're at it, Troy, you know what? One of our analysts will be Daedalus LaRoche. Huh?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
You know, offensive line analyst there.
There you go. In the booth, huh? He's
So,
gonna be big on our analytics team, right, Troy?
oh yeah. Yeah, no, definitely, man. So, that would be tell me that wouldn't be a fun day at work, Chris.
It would definitely be something, Troy. It wouldn't be a dull moment. There would
So,
not be a dull moment.
I mean, we could have a high school reunion as we're coaching a football game.
Gosh, Troy. But Troy, see, I would love that coaching staff. The only thing is, Troy, how would we look wearing the green and gold, Troy? And my thing is, I'm a Packers fan, so I like green and gold,
Yeah.
but I'm also a Las Cruces High School graduate, Troy. So as much as I want to see Mayfield rebuilt, Troy, I almost feel like that's sacrilegious to coach Mayfield, Troy. Like, what are we doing here, Troy? We're all Las Cruces High School alum.
Chris, all I have to say is there's no okay. Las Cruces High is in state right now. There is
Sure.
no vacancies happening at Las Cruces High. I would say if we were choosing between one or the other, then yeah, it would look bad. But I mean, the only vacancy right now is Mayfield. So if we all go over there, decide to build that program up, and Chris, ultimately it's about the rivalry, right? You build it up.
Sure.
That way you turn them into competitors again and you bring the rivalry back, make it, you make it fun again, right?
We're going to get them back up to 6A, Troy.
That or it's just going to be a long season, one of the two.
Hey, at least we'll
But
have fun.
no. Uh-huh. Say that
At
again?
least we'll have fun.
Yeah, exactly, man.
There
I mean,
might
that would be I feel
Troy,
like
there's
we're at football practice.
exactly, Troy. What I was going to say, Troy, is there's going to be some laughing, some crying, maybe some fist fights, but
Yeah.
it's going to be it's going to be a very interesting and fun season.
Yeah, no, definitely. But in all seriousness, man, I'm curious to see who they hire, and good luck to whoever they bring in. Just because, Chris, like when we think of Mayfield football, I mean, they had a culture at one point, right? Like you knew
Strong
you were gonna
culture.
play those guys. All their former, defensive linemen, like you had the Andy Zopians, you had the Matt Ramondos, the Chris Stories. Man, all those guys back then, they
Yeah,
were just
dudes, man.
notorious to be freaking, killers on the field. And you knew you were gonna get a tough opponent. So, hopefully, whoever comes back could actually instill that in that program again because as a fan, obviously, I'm Bulldog through and through, but as a fan of football and a fan of high school sports, you wanna see that rivalry come back. You want to see all the schools in the Las Cruces area be competitive because ultimately what matters is all the schools down south beating all the schools up north, in my opinion.
Now, you know what, Troy? Thinking back, yeah, man, they even though they had some great players in the trenches, even some of their skilled players were pretty good, man. I mean, the Betancourts, who else? Troy,
Ricky
Sandoval,
Milks.
yeah, Milk, Sandoval. They had some guys, man.
Yeah.
Even Troy, who was the quarterback our junior and senior year? He was pretty good.
Axton Franzaway.
Yeah, he was a tough player, Troy. I
Man, that
mean, they
kid was
always had
tough.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, man, yeah, you just had a lot of guys that were just tough, and they had
Uh,
that Mayfield had that culture of just having, playing that hard-nosed football. And obviously with them, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why they're just not what they used to be. One, they're just not building that side of Cruces up
sure, yeah.
anymore. So everything's kind of just stalled on that side of town. But also, it's the oldest school in Las Cruces right now. So that with that bond passing, hopefully that helps out a little bit. Hopefully, it gets more kids
Um,
excited about wanting to go there. But Chris, we've experienced it early on whenever we watched Mayfield and Oñate play. Man, kids just don't want to go out there anymore. Kids just
no.
don't wanna go and play sports, and there was a lot of guys that were walking around that could be, that should be
It's high
putting their
school,
hand in the
dude.
dirt,
Let's
you know what I
get
mean? So
and you know what, Troy? I feel like, when Mayfield, whether they, reclassified to 5A or when they just started deteriorating as a program, Troy, I feel like part of the city died when that happened.
yeah,
Was root Trey, you talk about culture, and part of our city's, part of our beloved home's culture, Las Cruces, was the Mayfield Cruces rivalry, and just both programs being really strong in football. And when once Mayfield started their deterioration, Troy, it killed. I shouldn't say killed. That's a harsh word, but it definitely affected the culture of the city. And
yeah,
for me, Troy, when the city's at its best is when our young people, particularly our young men, are playing sports, playing football. Every school's competitive and everybody goes and supports. And we continue that rich tradition of Southern New Mexico football, right?
yep.
So,
No, I agree. But yeah, it's just kind of it's sad to see where it's gone, what direction it's gone now. But I will say this too. I remember whenever I was going to college at New Mexico State, I do remember when I noticed the rivalry kind of dying down, and I think they had the game at NMSU that year, but I think they had to cut it short because of bad weather or something like that. So the following day they had it at the Field of Dreams. But I think it was like the year after that, or it might have been that same season. Oñate and Centennial, well, mainly Oñate's coach was upset about the fact that like only Cruces and Mayfield play at New Mexico State Stadium, and then so they wanted the same thing, so they tried it out, and it just did not work. Remember, I just was like, man, look, the point of the rivalry game is like because people actually go to this game, they fill up the stadium, they do this and that. It's not just so everyone could have a fair shot, you know what I mean, or get a fair go at that.
no
That's the point
participation
of
trophies, right, Troy?
no participation trophies whatsoever. So
I agree, Troy. So we'll see what happens. Hey, I'm excited for all the levels of college football and
yeah,
how the playoffs and everything are gonna play out, Troy. I'm excited to see Cruces win state.
yeah.
And then I'm excited to see who's gonna get hired to be the Mayfield head coach, Troy. So a lot of exciting things happening in football.
Also, Chris, I forgot to mention University of New Mexico, UNM. The Lobos got San Diego State got a big one in Albuquerque this Friday. After Thanksgiving, if you guys just want to check out some good football, that game might be worth the watch because Lobos are in a position right now to make the Mountain West Championship. So that's
Oh, yeah,
something
yeah.
unique. I'm a Jason Eck fan, so I'm going to be tuning in. So yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today, and stay tuned for another great episode of Those Guys Podcast. We'll see you.
And have a good Thanksgiving too, guys.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.